It's your girl Azia, and I'm here with the next come up, and we have two special guests, two very, very, very special guests from Chicago. They produced the film Martin Luther King, and we are going to talk about the film. You guys ready?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's introduce yourself first.
Okay, so Coodie,
Hi, Coodie.
Born and raised Chicago, filmmaker. Started off doing stand-up comedy, which people don't know I used to do.
Wow.
BET's Comic View 2 seasons, but I wasn't funny. So here I am doing film. I was funny, but it is Chike.
Chike, second half, Coodie and Chike, from New Orleans, born and raised. So happy to be here. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Yes, thank you for coming. I'm so excited. We'll start with the basic ones first, and then we'll get like a little bit in depth because everyone have watched it. So, what made you guys even come up with the idea?
Well, I wish we could take the credit for that idea, but first God made Martin Luther King. Then he did what he did, and then it came all the way to Connie and Jason, Connie Orlando and Jason Samuel.
Yes.
Came to us about doing this project at BET, and it's something that it was destined for, I believe, for us to do it because we just finished Muhammad Ali documentary, who was a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn.
Okay,
King's a Capricorn. Jesus is a Capricorn. So we all, just doing what we're supposed to be doing in life. And I'm happy that they, asked us to do that documentary.
Yeah, everything that he just said.
So it's crazy. They wanted us to do the doc, get it ready for the 50th anniversary of his murder.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So it was like, okay, we'll do it. And then thank God that their sister company did a King doc, so they aired that on the 50th anniversary of the murder. And they were like, well, we just do y'all next year. Next year just so happened to be his 90th birthday.
Wow.
So that worked
Perfect
out.
Timing.
Yeah.
Was it difficult making this timepiece versus like a modern movie or a modern production?
I'd say that the difficulties in this would be, and it is because it's a timepiece, and it is because you're dealing with like such a prolific figure that there's been so many pieces that have already been done on Martin Luther King. So it's just trying to figure out what's the point of differentiation, like what angle are you going to approach that hasn't been done already.
Right.
So that becomes the most difficult part, and I think for us, we wanted to approach it where we wanted to humanize King. We wanted you to see him as like an everyday person. Like King didn't wake up knowing that he was going to be this superhuman person that was going to accomplish what he accomplished. That kind of was put on his lap, and he took on that responsibility. But that could be put on any of our lap tomorrow.
Right.
And how are you going to respond to that? So we wanted you to understand. And then even going through that, he's still human. He still has the same fears. He still bleeds just like any of us. So a lot of times we hear about our heroes and we forget that. They're just regular people, just like us, going through these things. So put yourself in that position. You know what I mean? When he has a death threat, think about you having death threats. He's feeling the same thing. So
I think you guys did a really, really good job with just showing him in a different angle. I especially loved how the beginning of the film, everyone spoke about how they learned about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and what was their experience like. Whose idea was that?
It was.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I think, it was just something that happened. Like, a lot of things just happened, you know what I mean? And it was like, we understood that the way we were taught about Martin Luther King in grammar school was not the way he really was, and the way the message that he really had was more about, the poor people and, economics, which we wouldn't even understood, I guess, in grammar school like that anyway.
I think we would have understood.
We would have. You're right. You're absolutely right. So, that's why I'm happy that we had an opportunity to tell his real message.
Yeah. I'm happy with it.
The cast. How did you guys pick the cast of the documentary? There was a different set of people who answered those questions about how they learned about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and, I'll just say Dr. King. And everyone was like, I have a dream. That's the way I learned about him too. But towards the end of the movie, there were younger people, more people that are millennials, I should say, that were in the documentary speaking about. So how did you differentiate two and pick the cast?
So we knew we wanted to have a cast that would give everybody a voice. And I feel like right now we're in an interesting era because we have people that were alive that marched with the King that is still here.
Right.
Then we have a few generations corresponding after that. So we kind of want to go and give you a representative, give everybody a representative from that generation to have a conversation and see, what all aligns. And we wanted we really wanted to, we have Jesse Jackson, we have Reverend Al Sharpton, we have Reverend Bob. We wanted to have, especially with Reverend Jackson and with the Reverend Al Sharpton, is they were there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you hear King, when Jesse talks about that moment that Dr. King gets shot, it's like, you can't get that from anybody else. To get that from the person that was standing right next to him on the balcony, you know what I'm saying, and what that felt like. So, and we don't know how long we're going to be able to get these types of stories from these people. So that was important. But the same token, you have to go down to like the 15-year-old who, and you want to hear, they need to have a voice as well. And they're the ones that are they're going to be most responsible for continuing the legacy. So it's important that they know about the legacy, but we also respect them enough to understand what their point of view is and understand how is the information reaching them. So it was curious to know, and it was dope to know that they're still receiving it within the way that it was intended to be received. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we got and then thanks to a lot of our relationships too, just being in the music video, film industry period, we have a lot of relationships that we got to call on. We wanted like the Kendrick Lamars as well, or the Chance the Rappers that, schedule just might have not, matched up, but we was happy with the people that we did get, you know what I'm saying? Which is really, a lot of them are really good friends of ours, so that worked out.
That's good. Well, congratulations with that, because that was good. Was the film, was the process emotional for you, learning all these different things? Well, even before it was emotional, did you know everything that you put in the film before you shot the film? And was it emotional to find it out?
I'm gonna say, as far as the emotion when it comes to these type of films, like when we did Benji, ESPN 30 for 30 film, it felt like Ben Wilson was actually producing the film with us, and same with Muhammad Ali. Even though Muhammad Ali was still alive when we did this movie, it still felt like his energy and spirit. But definitely with King, it's like we could just feel their presence, because it's almost like they gave us the okay to tell their story. So we're part of their legacy. So that felt emotional to me, but real spiritual, So
on top of that, I think to really every time, again, when we did Muhammad Ali, and then to this one, what gets emotional about it is really just understanding how much people have sacrificed before us for us to be able to do some of the things that we're doing, and that we're not even burdened with that same responsibility. Imagine going a whole majority of your time fighting for something. You know what I'm saying? The whole time you're fighting for rights for most of your life. You now have the ability to do film or paint or sing, and now you fighting for something and that you might not even reap the benefits of. You know what I mean? So I think that's what hits home.
What about the comparison with Dr. King and Malcolm X? Was that something hard to do? Because I know society in general and just how we learn about them, there's always a comparison and they're always put against each other. You have one person for peace and you have one person for violence. Did you find similarities with making the movie, that you thought that they would have more in common than they didn't?
I feel like with that, and obviously growing up the way it's presented and marketed to us, the propaganda definitely puts Malcolm X as this really radical person that just wants to steer things up and create violence, and then you hear this thing about King, and it makes you feel like King was kind of soft. That's how it's presented. But then, and when you're doing the research on it, they're really the same person. Their approaches are slightly different, but their approaches are just as powerful. And I think they just have different ways of trying to approach it, but they start to see more eye to eye. Their ideologies are very similar once you start to, and even once they start having more conversations and realizing there's a realization that they have that they're fighting for the same things, and you realize that Malcolm wasn't, although he was willing to go a violent route, it wasn't violence just to be violent, It's just, if we have to do violence, we're going to have to do it, but we're not, you know what I mean? And if you think about what King was doing with his non-violence, man, he understood that the movement could crumble if we were to get violent, because we had to show that, you know, through nonviolence, we're showing that we're not gonna give you that to just harp on the fact that we're just a bunch of violent animals and let that disrupt all this fight that we're going to proceed. He had a reason behind it, and to sit there and take the stuff that he was taking without somebody slapping you 5 times in the face and you just gonna sit there and take it, like.
Right. It was some parts of the documentary where like he was walking and I saw them shooting and he would jump, and it's like, wow, he's human. Like he is like us.
Yeah.
And the one thing you realize is that they both were very brave men that was fighting for us, and at the beginning Malcolm was more fighting for blacks in general. Then he, you know, went over and did his thing and came back, and I won't go into that, but King was fighting for everybody. You know what I mean? For peace for everybody. So that was a great thing, you know. And the similarities are that they both were brave, but Malcolm was like, "You hit me, I'm gonna hit you back." King was like, "You hit me, I'm gonna show you love, and you're not gonna want to hit me again." You know what I'm saying? So that was what he was on.
Well, you guys did a really good job. Roadblocks. Did you get any roadblocks while filming this, or doing research, or trying to get any of the footage?
Yeah.
First.
I mean, I think, you know, especially for anybody, any aspiring, especially for any aspiring filmmakers out there, you know, a lot of times it's like the highlight reel by the time it hits TV. So you just see a finished product, and you don't realize what it took to get there. Yeah, definitely, to the last second. You know, and the biggest hurdle when you're dealing with like timepieces is the archive footage. Trying to procure that footage, trying to get rights to that footage, license that footage. You don't know what you're going to be able to, you know, when we're working the whole time, we're working with like reference pieces. Those references might not necessarily make it. So you fall in love with stuff that you might not even be able to keep. And then sometimes you're fighting to the last second to even get certain things. And you got to be really quick on your feet to call audibles to how can we creatively finesse this clip that we can't use now. Now we might have to use a little bit more of this interview to cover up this thing. So it's a whole puzzle of pieces that they all have to kind of come together at the end. But the most difficult part is the archive, getting that archive footage.
And when you think of roadblocks, it's like when you going somewhere, you got a goal, you're trying to go somewhere, the roadblocks helps you to go the right direction. Because if you don't go into that roadblock, then you're going to keep going. That might not be the roadblock, make you go the right direction to where the finished product ends up. Which that's how I feel. So I thank God for the roadblocks, you know.
That's a really good way to look at it. So with the roadblocks, and even with the stuff that, I know everything didn't make the film, is there anything that didn't make the film that you would have wanted to, or that you can share with us? Because I would like to learn some more.
I think, you know, this could have been a much longer piece. I think, you know, if we had more time, one of the pieces that we would have liked to dive into more would have just been the concept of capitalism and just the society we live in, and how the system is set up, and really what we're kind of fighting against, and what King was fighting against. And it's just this concept of like, it's a bigger issue. It's dealing with what capitalism is in a society that's run by money, but it's also just dealing with how do we fit into a system that was constructed without us in mind. You know what I mean? So it's like you build a house for a regular person, right? All these regular things, but all of a sudden the superhero comes into the house. You know what I mean? You got to rebuild that house to accommodate the superhero, or the superhero and the regular person got to figure out 2 ways to coexist within this house.
Right.
How are we going to do that? And that's kind of where we're at now.
Still.
Something's got to change. You know what I mean? The system, like I said, the system has to change, but the Constitution hasn't changed. Like, it's like things have to change though if we're going to both cohabitat. You know?
Yeah.
Not even just both, but all of us, everybody.
Right, and too, if we could have got more into like the people surrounding King, you know, to help him, you know, with his message that he was getting.
Especially the females.
A lot of people, a lot of females, a lot of males that were helping him. So that would have been nice to really explore that within his doc. But you know, we had 40 minutes of content.
So even with you saying with like capitalism, I think my favorite part of the piece was his last speech, and it's something that I really never paid attention to. It's not even something that I learned in school. So just to hear him talk about when he was in Memphis, and he reached a roadblock, and then wound up in Memphis, and he got there, and then he was just talking about, you know, if they're not treating you fairly, don't spend your money. And that's the importance of who you are as a person. And you do have an effect. And if you stop doing this, then there will be an effect for this. And then the next day, he gets shot. He dies. Late to his flight, still there. Probably shouldn't have been there, but he ends. And then he kind of like gave a preconceived notion that was going to happen. He said, I might not be here to finish, but if we don't finish this in Memphis, it'll be a sad day. So kind of like, don't give up even if I don't get to continue. What made you guys put that there?
See, real quick, what people don't understand is that he was always on economics, and it just was delivered to us different because it was like, you got the Rosa Parks, we hear about her being in front of the bus, and she went to jail because she was in front of the bus, she was being in the back, but then when you think about it, it was the boycott when they stopped, riding the bus for them many months, and then that's when they was like, you know what, we need for them to ride wherever they want for the
more
money,
than a year.
right? But that was when he was on then. See, people just missed that.
I even missed it when I got to that part. I didn't really get it until the end, when he was literally speaking like, if they're not paying you, then why are you paying them? And I was just like, whoa, I learned about Dr. King all wrong my whole life.
Yeah.
Like he was, standing for something else other than color and skin equality. He was standing for like life, like to live fairly.
And he was showing us how if we want to get ahead, then we gotta, he said we gotta distribute the pain. Distribute the pain, and he knew the pain was coming through their pockets. He knew it wasn't coming no other way. We couldn't fight them. It's the pockets. You hurt their pockets, then okay, we gotta help. And when I say them, I'm not meaning like black or white. I mean them, the ones that's in power. You know what I mean? So
I agree.
Same thing, right?
I just thought it was really special that you highlighted that now because you see in the media that our black buying power is like at an all-time high. And I don't know if it has something to do with social media or just millennials being so involved with media in general and everything going viral. But there's so many articles about black buying power and like we spend the most, and just to see that part at the end of the film and like to relearn about who Dr. King is and then in a different way as an adult, and even children, because children watch BT too, it was really special. So again, good job. I can say good job. Do you think Dr. King fulfilled all of his duties and his dreams?
So, no, it's not over. You know what I mean? I think it will get fulfilled at some point. I think we've come a long way. As far as us as black people, like we're not here fighting the same way Martin Luther King fought. That we're here doing an interview about a film that we just made. The fact that we can even sit here and make a film, you know what I mean, is progress. But the same token, though, what he's talking about as far as like class, and that's the real issue. You know what I mean? So the race issue is still an issue, but it's just to me, it's just another layer on top of a real issue. So if we can get over these layers and start getting down to the meat of what the real problem is, like that's why we all need to work together. And this is what King was making a point on, as a human race, to figure out this main issue of class. We all need to be on the same playing field. It's uneven. Everything's unevenly distributed right now. That's why we have most of the problems that we have. But a capitalist society creates this. You know what I mean? We just got to relook at our society. You know what I mean? But it's going to change a lot. If we do that, it changes a lot. If we distribute the wealth, it affects a lot of people that are already in power generationally. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a big undertaking. So that's why I don't think it should probably, we got another 50 years probably before that shifts appropriately. So but I think without King doing what he did, we're looking at a bigger gap. So what he did started something. You know what I mean?
But everything happened in God's time, and now, like you say, you didn't know about that part of the speech, the mountaintop.
I didn't even know that part of Dr. King.
The economic part. So we're about to now. It's for now.
Is there anything that you would tell millennials or anyone that's watching now what we can do to push the agenda forward? Because we're definitely moving in the right direction, I do believe. Do you think that there's anything that we can do? And what leaders would you say that we have to? That's two questions in one. Do we have any leaders? Do we have any Dr. Kings now?
I do think we have a lot of leaders. There's a lot of voices out there of people. I think it's just more distributed. So it's not like there's 3 or 4 individuals that we're only looking to. I think they're just very dispersed. We have leaders within inner communities, and I think what we need to do though is really everybody needs to reflect on the root issues of just examining us as human beings. Like what are we supposed to be as humans? We need to examine. I think we need to take a look at spirituality in a different way. Like we need to look at like our society, capitalism, and how things are packaged up, how spirituality has been packaged up. We need to get down to the root of things and start hacking these weeds out and get real with ourselves and get real with who we are as people. We might not be the most angelic people that we think we are. Let's figure out why that is. And from the core of us is energy beings. What is it to have our energy be nothing but love? Like, can we get to that? I don't know if we can ever get there, but it'd be dope. You know what I'm saying? But I think we have to just start taking we can't keep on going in a circle. Sometimes we gotta take another approach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep, I agree with that for sure.
Any leaders?
Any leaders? Well,
Yeah.
like you said, it's leaders out there. I mean, I think, for what we're doing as far as in film, we are leading to a certain extent.
I was going to say, you guys are
So,
some leaders. You told me something new.
Yeah.
And even people in the film, like Amanda Diva, she's an amazing. If you ever follow her, she has strong opinions, and she's a great person that is not afraid to voice her message, regardless of what it might do to her brand. So I think within our film, there's leaders that would be Patrice Colliers and stuff. Like everybody in our film, to me, is a leader in their own right, and that's why we interview them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
That's dope. Is there any advice that you would give any young entrepreneurs who want to follow your footsteps or produce any legendary films like you gentlemen have?
Yeah, for sure.
Like I always give my usual, which is really powerful, is if you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. I love that one. You know what I mean? Because the power of your mind is so powerful, and that's the thing that you have 100% control of is your mind. So when you put your mind to something, it's going to happen. Not, and always take try and can't and all of those things out of your vocabulary, because words are powerful. So them 2 things that they can help. And me, I believe in Jesus Christ. So I say you definitely have to believe in a higher power. You know what I mean, to guide you to where you want to go. That's my advice.
I mean, so along the same lines, I would tell anybody just like whatever you're passionate about or whatever, you have to go for it. At some point in your life, you have to go for what you love, because if you never go for it, then you've already lost. You know what I mean? So you have to make an attempt at some point behind and just shoot your shot. The worst that's going to happen is you don't make it.
Right.
but you already did make it if you never shot it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. What can we expect next from you guys?
What you can expect next from us is we did a documentary on Stephon Marbury, which we're working on now, finishing, and we also did a documentary on the first African American to play in the NBA. His name is Earl Lloyd. People don't know about him. The first to play. It was through that year, Chuck Cooper and Sweetwater Clifton, but Earl was the first, 1950. So that we got that coming out, and we put together an Ernie Barnes documentary, which was a good friend of ours before he passed away. So we've been filming him since he passed away in 2009. So since we met him in 2004, we've been shooting him and putting that together. And like I said, everything's in God's time. And we got these. I'll let you tell about the short films and the
I mean, our intentions definitely have always been to get to feature films. So we've just taken our own process to get there. So we've been writing. Here's a story that's going to be coming out based off of our documentary 30 for 30 we did called Benji. Well, we have a film that he's written called The South Side that is based on that story, just from a different perspective. And then we also have I'd say like a Hitchcock sort of Twilight Zone series that we're working on. Basically, we're shooting in New Orleans for the first season, and it's a psychological thriller that's culturally wrapped around things that represent our culture. So there's a lot of stuff that just hasn't been exposed yet, but behind the black lens, and so we want to be the first to expose sort of our roots in a different way, you know. So
I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. I'm excited for this. We
Alright.
need some more films
Yeah.
and classic films,
Yeah,
like
for
the
sure.
ones that we used to have
Yeah.
growing up, like in the 90s and
Yeah.
things like that.
Right.
So-
You know,
Exactly.
That's what we
Yeah.
are. You know,
Yeah.
I'm an old school dude.
Oh.
I'm like Claudine is one of my favorite movies.
That's
The
my
Coodie
grandmother's
Eye.
favorite movie.
Yeah, I gotta meet your grandma.
Well, she passed.
Oh, dang, well, I
But
met her.
you have met her. She was here.
Yeah,
today.
exactly.
She's here now.
Yes.
Exactly.
What about your favorite movie?
You know, I started like my aunt, when really introduced me to film, she used to take me to see a lot of foreign films. So like some of my films, like Amelie, is a foreign film that I love. It's amazing. Or Cinema Paradiso, like these are some of my favorite films. So I kind of like some of the foreign, like French films too. They just I don't know. I feel like they have a little more passion in them, and they can get a little more creative. You know, so I tend to kind of err on that side of film. So, yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. What about yours?
Oh man, my favorite movie is like Matilda. Matilda and Gladiator. I love medieval
Gladiator.
time movies.
That's
Oddly.
dope. That's why you to that Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Oddly, but so with the film, you guys have lots of juicy stuff in it. With the end, what made you guys even come up with that twist? Because I definitely learned something new, and I don't want to give it away. So what can you tell us without really telling us how you came up with that? He's
Well,
like, here you go.
I mean, we just wanted to take you. We wanted to take you to a special place that had a lot of meaning that not everybody can access, and at that place we wanted to do something really special with a special person. So.
Right, and then I think is that we was learning as we were going, and the end. What I believe we talking about is the last speech that he told.
Yeah, Memphis.
In Memphis.
Oh, I took it somewhere else.
Was the mountaintop.
I got literal to the
Right.
level.
Took it. Oh, you was talking about J.I. Yeah. I mean, we'll give away J.I. at the end, but be looking for J.I. at the end. But no, when he did the mountaintop, it was a speech that people haven't heard the whole speech. They always go to the end of the speech, but you don't hear what he was talking about before then. And that's what, y'all be ready to really hear that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're ready to hear what my man King is talking about, Dr. MartinLutherKing Jr. is talking about. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Well, thank you so much for that. And can you tell everyone where they can find you, if they want to slide in your DMs and you can mentor them maybe? But now, if you can tell everyone where to find you and just to keep up with everything great that you have coming up.
Okay, well, y'all can, they can follow me on Instagram, Coodie, COODIE, Coodie Rock is my Instagram.
Rock.
Yeah, you can catch me at Kozah, COZAH, and you can catch both of us at Coodie and Chike on Instagram. So
And Red Patrol, Red Patrol, right?
Yeah, a lot of IG like taking over.
All right, so do one more time so we can get all clear.
Okay.
So we got Coodie Rock.
You got Coodie Rock. You got Kozah, COZAH.
Okay.
You got Coodie and Chike.
Okay.
And you got Creative Control.
Dope.
So hit all those.
Control. Well, thank you guys for coming in today. I had a ball with you guys today. I learned so much, and I know everyone's really going to enjoy the film. And make sure you guys tune in tonight, 9 p.m., only on BET. And thank you for watching The Next Come Up. I'm your girl, Asia. Stay tuned.
Martin Luther King said, we're going to show you how heinous your crimes against humanity are by sitting there and taking it.
His dream is based on us, what we do and how we organize.
Martin, the Legacy of a King, Monday at 9.